One of the big problems for independence, it seems to me, is some of the people who support independence. The same is true for unionism. As soon as someone on one side opens their mouth and condemns the other side, we all double down a bit more. It's why the polls haven't really moved. We're trapped in mutual antagonism, we're stuck in the trenches, lobbing insults over no man's land, we're knee-deep in mud. For the prolonged constitutional warfare to end, the Scottish nationalist side needs to convince a significant number of people to switch over to them, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon until their supporters change their strategy. Some of it is about changing the language, the words, and some of it is about better understanding the way in which many voters think. Properly done, it could be a way to convince people like me to support independence. What's got me thinking about all of this today is the interview the Nationalist MP Joanna Cherry did with my colleague Kevin McKenna at the weekend, because Ms. Cherry was guilty of a lot of the kind of behaviour that wins voters up, and I would suggest needs to change. Talking about independence as if it's inevitable, for example, or dismissing concerns about the economy or borders with a wave of the hand. It makes many people think that politicians like Ms. Cherry aren't taking their worries seriously. It makes them dig down into their trenches a little bit deeper. So, here's a few ways that I think things that could be done differently, a few ways in which the nationalists could adjust their strategy, and the first would be to talk more realistically about what independence actually means. Some nationalists delight in the thought of cutting the ties with England, and some unionists are horrified by the idea, but the reality is that after a yes vote, the ties would still exist. Scotland would have constitutional independence, but not independence in any total sense. Our ability to be autonomous would be limited just as it is for every other nation in the world, including the UK after Brexit. Talking to voters about independence in this more realistic way would be good for the nationalist cause, because it would be less horrifying for unionists or waverers. Indeed, the SNP has not always used the word independence as prominently as it does now, and for a long time preferred the phrase self-government. Naturally, talking about independence fires up the SNP base, but a better approach for general voters would be to talk about Scottish self-government within a new family of nations. It's a more mature and realistic idea that many voters could buy into. The second idea for a new approach for the SNP tackles the tricky subject of nationality and identity. The Scottish and British identities are not going to disappear from Scotland just because there's been a yes vote. For more on this story, visit the news article link.